Good morning, everyone. Welcome to South Church. This Unitarian Universalist Church warmly welcomes you to be with us this morning. We are so fortunate to have a worship team and have guest speakers and have music and have a way of being together in this virtual world that keeps us connected. We hope that you're well. We wish you a happy new year. And I would like to introduce the worship associate that we have the pleasure of working with this morning, Laurie Bilby. Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend Susan. Good morning, everyone. It is good to be with you this morning. I am one of a team of 8 worship associates who works with our interim minister, Reverend Susan Suchocki Brown, and our guest speakers to bring you worship on Sunday mornings. I'm thrilled this morning to be able to introduce to you our guest speaker, Anne Deminoff, who is a longtime part of our congregation. Anne has served us as a fellowship associate and a worship associate and has run Vespers services for a number of years. She is a retired speech and language pathologist and lives in Portsmouth with her husband, Roy, and their rescue beagle. It's nice to have you with us this morning, Anne. We're looking forward to hearing your message. Joanne, what's up for music? Joanne, what's up for music today?
Well, Laurie, it's been wonderful to be working with Anne and to hear about her sacred circle dancing. I loved reading about that and incorporating ideas of music around that. And the Bells of Norwich you'll hear, which is part of Anne's practice as a sacred circle dancer. And the hymns are all about circles and dance. For you, Anne, thank you so much for that inspiration in music. Back to you, Laurie.
These services are not possible without the work and effort of a lot of people, including Jen Leyden, Kirsten Hunter, and Pip Clues, and we thank them for all of their efforts, along with our pianist Susan Adams and Joanne and Reverend Susan and everybody and all of you who are worshiping. So heat up your coffee or refill your orange juice and enjoy this morning's worship.
The South Church Choir had such a wonderful time putting together music for our Christmas Eve service that we now have our sights set on Love Fest. Please email Choir President Theo Wiegand at theodore.wiegand@gmail.com to let him know you'd like to sing and which part you need materials for. We'll make it very easy for you. For questions, please reach out to our music director, Joanne Connolly, at joannasing@aol.com. Each month, South Church splits our Sunday collection with an organization doing good work in our community and beyond. During this entire month of January, you're invited to nominate organizations for our shared plate in 2021 and 2022. The link to nominate organizations can be found in your Sunday morning email and on the South Church website. Nominations end on January 24th at midnight. And during the month of February, we will vote on all the nominated organizations.
The South Church Spiritual Book Group is hosting film discussions in January and February. We will discuss The Reader, starring Kate Winslet and Ralph Fiennes, on Wednesday, January 13th at 7 p.m. Please watch the film in advance of the discussion. All are welcome. Contact South Church Book Group at gmail.com for the Zoom link.
The Fellowship Associates invite you to participate in South Church Love Letters, a project for South Church members to send Valentines to other members. Grab your craft supplies, collect your stamps, and get excited to spread some love. Volunteers will make or purchase their own cards and stamps, and we will provide you with the information needed to send at least 5 Valentines by mail. Want to send more than 5? Just let us know. If you're interested, please email fellowship@southchurch-uu.org. The South Church Choir had such a wonderful time putting music together for our Christmas Eve service that we now have our sights set on Love Fest. Please email Choir President Theo Wiegand at theodore.wiegand@gmail.com to let him know you'd like to sing with us and which part you need materials for. We'll make it very easy for you. For questions, please reach out to our music director, Joanne Connolly, at joannasing@aol.com. Each month, South Church splits our Sunday collection with an organization doing good work in our community and beyond. During the month of January, you're invited to nominate organizations for our shared plate in 2021 and 2022. The link to nominate can be found in your Sunday morning email and on the South Church website. Nominations end on January 24th at midnight. During the month of February, we will vote on all the nominated organizations, so stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Bill Blum, and I am a trustee of the board at South Church. It is my privilege to take a few minutes today to share an appreciation for some really amazing volunteers in our congregation. In a typical year, we would include these appreciations during our annual meeting. However, this year, our annual meeting will be held on Zoom on Sunday, January 31st, just after worship. So instead, we are taking time throughout this coming month to acknowledge those folks who have gone above and beyond to help our congregation thrive. Hopefully, you all know at this point, we are finally within striking distance of being able to replace the roof on our church building. The old roof had a good run. It lasted more than 200 years, but it is literally falling off at this point, creating a safety hazard and putting the building itself at risk of water damage. Thanks to the incredible efforts of a small group of South Church members, as well as donations from many more of you, we are preparing to begin this project in the spring. Angela Matthews has done tremendous work to secure not 1, but 2 years of LCHIP grants, which will offset more than a quarter of the cost of the project. Meanwhile, John Mayer, Jeff Leith, Jackie Ellis, and Brad Greeley have worked tirelessly to solicit member financial support for the project and develop a funding plan that will supplement any costs exceeding what money we are able to raise prior to the beginning of the work. And we cannot thank enough Alyssa Murphy, who has provided her architectural expertise and project management skills and relationships to work with roofing contractors and hammer out the details of the project ahead. We would be in a bad place if we didn't have a roof over our heads. And so, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, for all the time and heart you have given to our church, I thank you.
Loud are the bells of Norwich, and the people come and go. Here by the tower of Julian I tell them what I know. Ring out, bells of Norwich, and let the winter come and go. All shall be well again, I know. Love like the yellow daffodil is coming through the snow. Love like the yellow daffodil, it touches what I know. Ring out, bells of Norwich, and let the winter come and go. All will be well again, I know. All will be well again, I know.
I don't know about you, but it feels like over these long months of the pandemic and national turmoil that the people in my life and I ask each other more frequently how we are, in a way that's a little bit more real, more caring, more earnest, and really desirous of a response. How are you? Are you doing okay? A colleague asked me this earlier in the week, and I laughed a little and I said, I am both totally okay, and completely malcontent. Because I truly am grateful to be safe, warm, healthy, financially okay, and loved and supported. And this is getting so hard. Death toll rising, nurses in tears, my mom living in a community with active COVID cases, constantly trying to suss out the appropriate intersection between socialization and safety. And as I sat down to write these words, I found myself instead glued for several hours to the news coverage of citizens of this country, my country, too easily breaking into and vandalizing our nation's capital without swift consequences for their actions, and with the blessing of and at the urging of our commander-in-chief. This has left me angry, incredulous, and disheartened. And I wonder whether and how we will ever have a will to become a more perfect union. How can I muster the will to engage with those who support this event? And yet, there is comfort to be had. And sometimes it comes in the music, the wisdom that has come down to us through the ages in words set to tunes that we can carry with us to get us through exactly these times. This time. I find myself leaning on snatches of usually gospel songs, like the one Voices from the Heart recorded this fall by the great gospel singer James Cleveland. Reverend Cleveland grew up on the south side of Chicago. He was a Black man. Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. When the storm cloud passes over, everything will be all right. And like these from Dame Julian of Norwich from the 14th century that Joanne has offered to us. You know, the Middle Ages were no picnic in terms of either politics or pandemics either. And yet she insisted, all shall be well, I'm telling you. Let the winter come and go. All shall be well again. I know. We light our chalice this morning with the words of the Reverend Scott Taylor. In the soft light of this flame, may our lives shimmer anew. May we notice new possibility in those relationships that seem lost. May the turning of the year give birth to a dream. May the emerging light pull a new story into view. May what is give way to what might be. May we believe again in the world we imagine. Please join me in reciting our mission statement together. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people, and we inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not that circle, make it wider still, till it includes, embraces all the living. Come wonder at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people keep no score of wrong or guilt, but will that human bonds remain unbroken. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
Good morning, friends. Our theme this month is imagination, and I hope to see you in one of our RE classes or in Sunday morning chapel, because the more imaginations we have working together, the more amazing our ideas become. For right now, let's have a story. Once upon a time, there was a family that was really looking forward to a special event. Their neighborhood had planned a big party where they would have a bonfire and food and music and dancing and playing. And it had been a long time since they had gathered, so the children were especially looking forward to it, and they were counting down the days. However, as the day got closer, the weather was looking like a problem. Sure enough, on the day before they were supposed to have their big party, a nor'easter came, and that meant lots and lots of snow. Even though these children loved snow, they knew it meant that they couldn't have their party with their neighbors, and that was really disappointing. So they stayed inside their house while the snow came down outside and the wind blew, and pretty soon the electricity went out. And that meant that their house was going to get cold. So the mom knew how they were cold and disappointed, and she invited everybody into her big bed with all the covers. And they all snuggled up, and Mom started telling a story. She said, imagine if it wasn't snow that was falling everywhere. Imagine if all you saw outside was ice cream. And instead of shovels, we just took spoons out and we would eat any of the ice cream we wanted. And over there would be vanilla, and over there would be chocolate, and over there would be mint chocolate chip, any flavor you could find. Imagine. Well, this sounded pretty good to the kids. They were kind of impressed with Mom's imagination. It was not too bad for a grown-up. And so being all snuggled up warm under those covers together and hearing Mom's story voice, pretty soon the kids all fell asleep. And while they slept, they dreamed of what she had been talking about. They dreamed that they went out and there was ice cream everywhere, and they were able to eat all the flavors that they had ever wanted. But pretty soon in their dreams, they got big belly aches, and the ice cream made their clothes all sticky, and it got in their hair and all over their skin, and it felt icky. It's kind of a nightmare after all. So when the kids woke up in the morning, they were kind of relieved that it wasn't actually ice cream everywhere. But Mom's idea had been a good one. She had used her imagination well, and it gave the kids a really good idea. They went to the kitchen and they gathered some supplies, and then they went outside. The kids had a big bowl, and they made their favorite recipe of snow ice cream. They made it every year, but this snow was the first time this year where the snow had been just right. And so they mixed together 8 cups of snow and 1 cup of milk and 1/3 of a cup of sugar and a little bit of vanilla extract and just a pinch of salt. Then they stirred in some special sprinkles left from somebody's birthday cake. Then they went to the garage and they found a sled and a bell. And those kids, they made their own ice cream truck. And they went around the neighborhood to all their neighbors that they had hoped to see at the party. And they served ice cream from their truck. And at each house, the neighbor came out with a cup and a spoon and gratefully received their yummy treats. And this day wasn't the day that they had hoped it would be, but because of Mom's imagination and their own imaginations, it ended up being pretty special after all. I'm looking forward to doing some really fun imaginative things with all of you soon.
There are so many ways and so many reasons to give to South Church. And this includes, right now, the 2021 annual budget campaign, which needs the participation of every single person listening, and which also needs to end in the next few days so our budget for this year can be finalized. If everyone pledges, and if everyone who has pledged can do just a little bit more, like $5 a week, If everyone can find it in their hearts to do some bit right now, we can close the current gap and securely plan the coming year. And today's offering, our Sunday morning plate collection, will be shared with Planned Parenthood of Northern New England, whose only mission is to provide, promote, and protect access to reproductive health care and sexuality education so that all people can make voluntary choices about their reproductive and sexual health. Ways to donate will be on the screen that follows.
I would invite us to sit for a moment in some silence and some prayer time. Ever so grateful for a new year. We have gathered our time and thoughts and family and presence together this morning to be reflecting and hearing and singing and listening and being with one another. And prayer time is intended to give us a few moments to think about those things that we're wrestling with, things that we're grateful for, things that might need attention. I am ever aware of the level of fear and anxiety and concern that swirling around our world. The events of this past week at the Capitol are just an indication of the fear, the inability to let go, the inability to trust. And I name those knowing that we will need help and our country will need help. Our lawmakers were pretty courageous in the midst of a perfectly horrible situation, and I applaud them for getting back to work and doing what needed to be done and honoring the Constitution. And yet I'm aware that it was not without its struggles, as life isn't without its struggles, and that we are miles and miles apart, and it is ever so painful. And I know that for many of us, just personally, things seem out of control and we don't know which directions to go in, and it sometimes seems overwhelming. So when we gather in prayer, there's a time always to enter into the chat box your concerns, your prayer needs, special attention that you might need, because I am here, I am listening, I am desperately wanting to know what's going on in your hearts and your minds, and I'm available. And you heard last week in a lovely prayer that you are loved and you are held in love and care, and that is true. So know that we're here for you. Know that we want to know what's going on in your life. And inch by inch and day by day, we will be able to struggle together and love together and care together and be together. In the name of all that is holy and precious, and that is you, may peace abide. Amen.
Ring out, bells of Norwich, and let the winter come and go. All shall be well again, I know. The tune Bells of Norwich was written by Sidney Carter and is based on the life of Julian of Norwich, a 14th century Catholic contemplative who lived in England during the time of the plague. She is well known for having written the expression, "All will be well, and all will be well, and all manner of thing will be well." I participate in a Sacred Circle dance group here in Portsmouth, and every winter, from solstice to the spring equinox, we do a dance to this tune, the Bells of Norwich. The dance acknowledges the winter, but also anticipates its passing. As the song says, the bells of Norwich ring for the yellow daffodil, the flower in the snow. In pre-COVID times, the group did this dance in a circle, holding hands. We started by slip-stepping, like skipping to the right, and then the same skipping step to the left. We repeated that a few times and then faced center, towards each other. It would be the time in the dance when we rang the bells of Norwich, raising our joined hands high and rocking back and forth, in and out of the circle, those around us helping us to keep our balance. Next, we each became a bell, holding one hand to our hearts and the other arm overhead, turning around on our own. Finally came a step to the side and a quick bow to the center of the circle to honor those we were dancing with. Note how the dance is done in a circle, holding hands in a circle, walking together to the right and to the left, facing center and collectively ringing the bells, turning individually, returning to face center to bow to one another. From prehistoric times, human life has taken shape around a circle, gathering around the fire for warmth, for cooking, for protection. The ancient Greeks took part in a variety of practices in a circle or semicircular pattern. Their word for dance, choreo, embraced many activities: choreography, chorus, choral reading, and included dancing, speaking, singing, and drumming in a circle or semicircle. In modern times, we gather around many circles: the circle of family around the holiday table, a meeting of colleagues around a conference table, the circle of yoga practitioners in a studio, or the circle of basses run in a ball game. And yes, the dance circle. Our Sacred Circle group continues to dance on Zoom. But during the COVID pandemic, I have missed this circle of gathering in person. While many of our activities, exercise classes, social events, game nights, have continued online, they have lost the characteristic shape of the circle, which is essential to humans getting together in groups. But as Amy Antonucci, who leads Sacred Circle Dance, says, even though the practice of dance is imperfect on Zoom, it is better to continue to gather than not to gather at all. During COVID, we have reimagined the dance, reimagined all the many ways to gather. These new ways do not replicate getting together in person, but they retain many of the essential elements of being together: seeing each other's faces, sharing joys and sorrows, dancing or playing games, even if it's in Hollywood Squares style boxes. What is missing is facing one another in the circle, holding hands, slipping one arm around the waist of another, feeling the gentle pull and grounding of the dancers on either side of us when we dance the Bells of Norwich. Loud are the bells of Norwich, and the people come and go. Here by the Tower of Julian, I tell them what I know. Who was Julian of Norwich? Who was the woman for whom this song was written? Julian of Norwich was born in 1342 in the walled English city of Norwich, a textile and shipping center on the eastern coast. Her full name is unknown. In fact, it's unknown if she was named Julian at birth, or if she took or was given the name later in life. She died around 1416, living to be at least 74 years old. Very little else is known for certain about her personal life. She is known, though, to be the first woman to write a book in English, a book of her revelations during a serious illness. From her writings, it's known that Julian of Norwich became gravely ill at around the age of 30. She survived her illness and later in life went on to write about the experience and the visions she had during this time. At some time, she took up solitary residence in the walls of a church in Norwich. She was what is termed an anchorite. That is, she lived in a room or rooms bumped out from the stone walls of the church. She was called an anchorite because her rooms were anchored to the walls of the church. The common image of an anchorite is someone who lives entirely alone. But this was not exactly true in Julian's case. She may have had help tending her small home. The city folk visited her, at least from outside her window. They spoke with her. The 14th century was a time of great upheaval in England. The 100 Years' War raged with France, and Norwich was under fear of attack. There were peasant revolts. Punishments for peasants and heretics were severe, and it was a time of plague. It was during these times that Julian of Norwich wrote her now famous expression, "All will be well, and all will be well, and all manner of thing will be well." This was not trite or unimaginative advice, it seems to me, given the times Julian lived in. To me, this saying suggests that in the face of so much suffering, so much death, so much strife, there is a place to arrive at, a place of the soul where all can be well, at the very least in some small but significant way. The saying evokes that still, small voice within. The very still, very small voice we can access, even in the midst of great hardship and loss. That there is something that holds us and buoys us up through all weather. All will be well, and all will be well. The history of the much more recent pandemic of 1918 tells us a lot about pandemics in general. If we are wise, we take lessons from the 1918 pandemic. Simple lessons of hygiene, for example, mask wearing, hand washing, social distancing, flattening the curve. The lesson of the 1918 pandemic I am thinking about a lot these days is that it eventually came to an end. That is a hopeful thing. Hard for us to imagine, perhaps, but true, and we hope predictive. With the advent of a vaccine and continued vigilance to curb the spread of infection, we can begin to imagine the COVID-19 pandemic drawing to a close. It won't be all at once. It will not be a one-time thing. But we have reached a time in the pandemic when we can just begin to imagine gathering in person again. Returning to those circles of connection that are at the heart of human connectedness. The circle of small group ministry, the learning circles of children and youth, and yes, the circle of dance. During the pandemic, we have used our imaginations to gather and socialize and exercise and work and learn in new and imperfect ways. Perhaps now, in the spirit of Julian of Norwich's "All will be well," we can begin to imagine what it will be like to be together again. How will that come about? Some things will come back as we knew them. Some things will change. Some things may never return. What do you imagine for yourself, for your family and friends, for our country and for our world? As the days become longer and the low arc of the sun in the sky begins to rise, we can begin to imagine, as the Bells of Norwich song says, that love, like the yellow daffodil, is coming through the snow, that we will once again join in circles, hand in hand, arm in arm, and in that closest of human circles, the embrace of a hug. May it be so.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you, through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you, through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend, and like a willow with the wind. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you, through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And now this time of worship together has ended, and it is time to go about our day by connecting in a time of fellowship. It is time to go about our day by reconnecting with family, by doing something pleasant and taking time to have those connections be deepened. It is time to be the voice of care, compassion, peace, and love out into the world. All those values that call us to be Unitarian Universalism are being needed and sought. And it is now your time to go out into the world. May you go in peace, with love, with blessings. May it be so.